Which celebrity went on the fastest, hardest and most destructive downwards spiral from their peak? Kurt Cobain. Formed Nirvana in '87. And went from playing record store gigs and dive bars in the late '80s to putting out Nevermind, a record that knocked Michael Jackson out of the #1 spot in Jan of '92. Back then, something like that was unheard of and considered impossible in the industry. For the next couple of years, Nirvana were arguably one of the biggest and most popular rock bands in the world. But Cobain was already thinking of ways to essentially sabotage the band's popularity because he was so uncomfortable with how famous they got while dealing with his own inner demons and drug addiction. They performed at the Reading Festival in '92 in what many consider one of the great live rock performances of all time, put out their second major studio album, In Utero, in February of '93. That went to #1 instantly despite the record company originally thinking it was unreleasable, and some major retailers refusing to sell it due to the album art and the song, Rape Me. Performed their iconic MTV Unplugged set in November of '93. Despite Cobain being in the heavy throes of heroin addiction and them not knowing if he'd be able to perform until showtime. In March of '94 he intentionally odded in Rome while on a European tour. Came back home. Went to rehab for a couple of days. Hopped the fence. And week later he blew his head off with a shotgun. Nirvana has sold over 75 million records worldwide despite only being a band for less than 7 years. And only releasing essentially 2 major label albums. Nevermind and In Utero. 1 indie album. Bleach. 1 album of B-sides. Incesticide. The MTV Unplugged album and a Greatest Hits album. Nirvana. I'd say that qualifies as a pretty destructive downward spiral. Especially considering their ascent was so rapid as well.